Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Erin, one of the designers at PicMonkey, and I am excited to talk about gradients today. This was a feature that was just released, and I am going to start by just showing you really simply how we can use gradients in some designs, and then also maybe like some fun little tricks as well. So I am going to share my screen. And here we go. So let's just familiarize ourselves with gradients. So I'm just going to say create new, and we're just going to start with a template here just so we can see what gradients looks like. So I'm just going to do business card. So I just typed in business card here at the top, and I'm just going to choose this modern Tannenbaum modern business card because it's just like really simple, and it'll be able to show you how to use this gradient tool. So here we have this rectangular shape in the background, and so I'm just going to select that. And now where do we find these gradients? We just go to where we pick colors, change color, and you see, this is what you saw before. These are solid colors you can choose. Awesome, cool, love it. But now there's also this tab called gradient, and you can see the color I just had selected was yellow. So even when I just hopped in and clicked gradient, it took that yellow, mixed it with something else, and it's like, here's an example of what a gradient could look like. We have lots of bright options, some more muted ideas to like just get you started. You can have, so you can see, you can add a middle color as well. So, I mean, that gray doesn't look awesome, but just to give you the idea. And then you can also change the direction by using this slider. So there's really endless gradient design ideas here. So let's see. I'm gonna pick maybe a lighter one so I can read this dark text. So that looks pretty cool. I can change the direction on that. I can also use this as a more subtle element. Maybe I'm going to add a page. So right here, add new page. I'm going to grab that other template that was part of this business card set. You can see right there. So what I want to do on this page is use the same gradient that I have here. And I want to put it where this gray is. So this gray is my background color. So I just kind of, if you look at the layers, you can see I have the background selected. And then I'm just gonna add that gradient in there as well. So I just clicked the exact same gradient. You can change the colors, you can change the direction. But then if we go back and forth, you can see they kind of match. It looks a little bit more visually interesting than the gray. So that is a quick introduction to gradients. And now I'm going to dive in to other things you can do with the gradients besides just putting it on a shape as a background. One of those things that you can do is you can put it on any graphic as well. So here you can see we have solid black selected. Maybe I want to make it yellow, or again, like we just did, we click this gradient panel, and then here come up all those options once again. And so I could pick maybe a bolder one and just put that on there. Makes it just a little bit more visually interesting, add some depth. So there we go. That's our brief little introduction to gradients. And now I'm going to start a fresh, clean design, showing you a couple more interesting things we can do. So, File, Create New. I'm just going to start with a blank canvas, maybe a Instagram post. And what's awesome with this gradients and that we have it coming out right now is this is a very trendy look. So what you see a lot on Instagram is maybe like this as a gradient as a background. So like we just did, I have my background selected and I'm going to go background color, gradient. I like to sometimes just start with one of our options and then I kind of put my own in there as well. So, okay, let's use this gradient and then you can change those individual colors as well. You can see I have my brand color palette here. So maybe I want to use my like brand pink. And then for the red, maybe I want to use my like brand orange. And then for this one, I want to use maybe like this lighter orange, peachy color. So it just like reflects a little bit more of my brand. I could change the direction. So that's my background. I'm gonna add a graphic on top. And it's gonna look a little bit funky, but stay with me, it'll look cool in a little bit. So I know I want to use a kind of like a blobby shape. Those are also very trendy right now too. So I'm in our design graphics. So you can just type in blob, but sometimes I just scroll to where they are, artsy blobs. I'm gonna just select this one. And let's add a gradient on top of it. And while we're here, I want to show you one more thing with the gradients. I may or may not keep this, but this is, again, a cool feature. Let's see. Like I just said, you can add it. You can add it onto your shape, but you can also add it as a drop shadow or outline. So let's select outline. I'm just going to make it thick so you can see it really well. We're going to go to this color picker, again, up gradient. It's the same on everyone. And you can see I just added a gradient. I'm shifting the direction. This doesn't look super cool. I'm just showing you how it works in case you have a cool way you want to use this. So that's pretty awesome. I'm going to uncheck that because I also want to show you how to use it as a drop shadow. So automatically, well, let's just add a gradient in there. You can see that the settings it gives you for a drop shadow are just kind of like fade and blurred and soft. So I'm just going to increase the distance so you can see a little bit better. You can see my gradients in there. You can do a hard drop shadow by dragging this blur down. You can adjust the fade as well so it's really bright. And then if I kind of like shift this direction around, you can see where that gradient is. So that's that. That's pretty fun. I'm going to create a multicolored gradient background using this background I already started with and this blob shape. I'm going to just take off that drop shadow for now and change this to maybe, again, more similar to my palette colors. Changing these colors, super easy. And as someone who also, like, my full role is a graphic designer, I use Photoshop a lot. I can say that this is way easier than doing it in Photoshop, which is really cool. That PicMonkey does that. So I'm just selecting some colors for from my brand palette. And what I'm gonna do is just make this really big, and I'm gonna add an effect onto this shape. So effects here on the left panel, scroll to about the middle. Under basic, we have this soften effect, and I'm just gonna bump that softness way up and click apply. And you can see my colors are like pretty similar, but not the same. So what I'm creating right here is just a multi-level gradient background. And you can see I'm just making it bigger, adjusting it so they kind of just fade into each other a little bit more. I'm going to adjust the direction of this background. So my pinks kind of line up a little bit better. And there we go. That's kind of fun. So here's my multi-level background. Now I'm going to add text. I'm just going to do a nice little quote. You might have seen something like this on our Instagram feed lately. Oops. I'm going to change the font. I'm going to make the text white so it's really easy to see. Not loving this font. Sometimes I just kind of play around with it. That one's good. And then make it a little bigger. And center it. I always use these kind of lines to help me center everything. I am adjusting the line height. I feel like there's maybe a little bit too much space here. So I just went to text spacing, line height, shrink that down a little bit, and it still stays centered in my design. And now I'm going to add a couple graphics. This is just going to be really simple, but playing with all the gradient tools. So graphics, this time I'm going to use the search bar. I'm going to type in star. And I just scrolled to this 4-pointed star. I like this one because it's simple. It'll be another subtle little gradient. So we have our object selected. I'm going to go to change color. I'm going to click gradient. And now I'm going to pick one of our light, muted and light gradients, just as a starter. I feel like that one looks pretty good. Still visible. I'm going to copy and paste right below, centered. Then I'm going to make the gradient maybe slightly different. Change the direction. It's really fun just to play around and see which one looks best for your design. I'm going to choose this PG one. Yep. And then there you go. There's your little Instagram post. If you want to give yourself credit, you could just do your Instagram handle at the bottom. Make it really small. Pretty common for people to do that. And there you go.
Love it, Erin. Thank you so much. I was actually curious how you got that cool, like, multi-layer gradient.
Yeah, that's me just playing around. That's adding just another shape in there.
What a cool trick. Awesome, awesome. Does anybody have any questions for Erin, or does anybody want to see anything else before we wrap it up? Let me know in the chat. But also I do want to let you guys know that we do record all of these and host them on our YouTube channel. So if you go to our YouTube channel after this, you'll be able to rewatch this if you need to rewatch anything. And if nobody has any questions, I think we can. Erin, do you have anything else you want to show us?
I mean,
You don't have to at all.
Always. We've been doing so many fun gradient things. I think like the main thing is just start playing with it. Look even at our feed for inspiration, what's trending. And I'd love to see what people do with it. As you can see, there's so many options. So
yeah, we're stoked about